Hi guys and welcome. Today I'm going to be trying out one of the brand new eyeshadow Quints from Dior. This is the Fall collection and it has the Miss Dior motif on it. Now there are a few different items in this collection. There are 3 eyeshadow Quints. I picked up 2 of them. The one I'm going to try today is Wild Beige, and I also got the one in Shocking Pink as well. There's also lipstick cases. There are the eyeliners, the stilos. There's also some lipsticks, lipstick cases to go with the Dior Edit lipsticks, and there's also nail polishes as well. So I'm going to do a full face of Dior. So I'm going to start off with a primer. I'm going to use the Dior Forever. This is the Velvet Veil one. And also today I'm going to use the brand new, the Dior Forever, the Nude Matte Filter. I did a dedicated video on that probably about 3 weeks ago now, and these are showing online at Dior, but at this stage, at the time of doing this video, it's still saying to join the waiting list. They are really beautiful powders. So if you want to take a look at the video where I show the one that I'm going to use today in more detail, the Nude Matte Filter, and I also show the Radiant one as well. So I'll pop the link up there if you want to take a look at that. So for the foundation today, I'm going to use, this is the new Dior Forever, the Hydra Nude. And I also did a dedicated video on this, and when I did that video it was a lot warmer then. I have oily skin and it didn't work too well in those warmer months, but I have revisited again now that the weather is cooler, because it's the middle of winter here in New Zealand. So from when it got cooler, from autumn through to now, this foundation works really beautifully with my oily skin. It's just not so great for those warmer months. So I'm just going to put this on using a Victoria Beckham brush. And I'm not going to go on about this foundation too much, because you can take a look at the video if you want a more detailed look, and I also show it in natural light as well. But just so you are aware, this foundation has got fragrance in it, just like all the other Dior foundations as well. I happen to really like the fragrance, and I do find that it dissipates fairly quickly. But this foundation is beautiful, and it gives such a beautiful look to my complexion. It just melds into the skin. It doesn't settle into my lines and wrinkles. Yeah. So I'm just using the Dior Forever Concealer. This is one of my favorite concealers. It just goes on beautifully. It has really gorgeous skincare ingredients in it, and this just melds into the skin as well. I also find that it doesn't crease and doesn't settle into my lines. I always blend it out first using a brush. This is a BK Beauty one. And then what I do after I've put on my eyeshadow primer and done my eyebrows, then I just go over with my fingers, and the warmth from my fingers just helps it just meld in. So I do that just before I powder it down. So eyebrows are done, and also eyeshadow primer is on. And just like I was saying before, what I do is just gently press over the concealer just for the last time, just before I'm about to powder it. So for the powder under my eyes, I'm going to use the new Dior Forever, the Nude Matte Filter. This is in the one shade 2, and I find that this powder is also good for under my eyes as well. Now when I put powder over top of concealer, I use my finger, so I just tap it in there really gently, and then just put the smallest amount on, just to set the concealer down, but really with the minimal amount of powder. And now I'm going to powder the rest of my face. As I said in my video when I reviewed these are just absolutely beautiful, these powders, and they do have this really gorgeous blurring effect, and they also make your skin feel silky smooth once you've applied the powder as well. For my bronzer today, I'm going to use the Dior Forever, the Nude Bronze, and this one is in the shade 04 and the shade Warm. So this one has, it's a slight radiant finish, but it's very subtle, and you can get the same shades in this, and that is what they describe as a soft matte. So I just put a little bit on at a time. I don't like to really put on too much bronzer. I just like this really subtle, healthy bronze, but just not too much over the top. So this is the pouch that it comes in, and the colour of the pouch matches. I think it's the middle shade in the Quint. So you've got this large writing here, and it's sort of a grungy sort of style. Now, they had this writing and really big writing on their clothing collection last year, and I didn't like the look of it on clothing, but on these pouches I do think it is really different. And it was interesting when first photos of these showed on Instagram, people either really loved it or they absolutely hated it. So here is the color story of Wild Beige, and you can see the embossing on there. It matches that big writing that's on the little pouch that this comes with as well. Now, I think this color story is just absolutely beautiful. So here it is swatched, and this is the top two shades here. This one is like it's a white and it's a topper shade. This one here is a shimmer. And then the middle one here, you can't really see it, this is a beige, and it took 2 or 3 swatches. I don't know how well that's going to show on my eyes. Then we've got this really gorgeous pink, and of course a beautiful deep brown. So this shade here leans more warm, but these others lean more cool. So I would say overall it's a neutral eyeshadow palette. And I did forget to mention that this Quint has 6.5 grams of product. It is made in France, and like all the other Dior Quints, it has a shelf life of 6 months from date of opening. But from the Quints that I've previously bought, they last a lot longer than that. So I'm going to take the Rapha number 14 brush, and I'm going to start off with this middle shade here. This is a beige, and this is satin. And when I swatched it on my arm, I didn't think it would really show very much, but it's still quite light, but it's showing more than I thought it would. And that's why you can see lots of swatches and do lots of swatches, but often the case that eyeshadows are different when they are applied. And I'm just going to stay with the same shade, use my Rapha number 3, and I'm going to place some of this on my lower lash line. And I will go over this a little bit with one of the darker shades as well, probably that brown shade. Now I've just wiped down my brush, and now I'm going to go into this pink shade here. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to put this through the crease and up onto the brow bone as well. So I don't think this one shows that well, or now that I've gone in the second time, it does seem to be showing up now. It's actually a really pretty shade, and I don't mind the softer eyeshadows. I tend to wear them a lot for my everyday makeup. And next I'm going to go into this brown shade here. I do love a deep shade in an eyeshadow palette because more often than not I put it in the outer corner. Now this shade here is a matte, and sometimes you get a brown in an eyeshadow palette and it's not quite deep enough, but this one is, and it is blending out really beautifully. Then I'm going to go back to my Rapha number 3 brush, and I'm going to stay with this darker shade, and I'm also going to put a little bit of this on my lower lash line as well. And I'm just going to keep it just to the outer third, because I think with that gold shade I might put a little bit of that on my lower lash line as well. So I've wiped down my brush, and now I'm going to go into the shade because I'd like to use all of the shades so you can see what they're like. So I'm just going to put a little bit on, and I'm going to put this through here and just towards the middle. And then lastly I'm going to go into the shade here. It is a white, and I think this is going to act more like a topper shade. There are some people that don't like topper shades. I really love them. And I'm just going to put it over the top and through here. And I think that is gorgeous, and it just lifts the whole eye look. So I think this is actually looking really pretty. And what I did is I just went back into the shade, used this brush here. It's a Sonia G1, just a smaller fluffy brush. And I just put, because I think the shade is really beautiful, this pink one, and I just popped a little bit of that shade through here. One thing when it comes to topper shades like this, some people say, oh, I have a ton of fallout. Well, with the brush, I don't dig in, I just go really gently, and then I just press it on my lid gently as well, because by doing that I haven't got any fallout from that shadow. Or the other thing you can do, and a lot of people ignore these, but with each of these Quints there is a little brush and there is another one that has a sponge on the end, and so you just press the sponge in and again just press it onto the lid, and that way you won't get any fallout either. You just have to go a little bit careful with them to avoid the fallout, but even when I do that sometimes you might get a little bit, but with this there isn't any fallout at all. So here is the finished eye look, and I just think this is so pretty. When I swatched it, I wasn't too thrilled with it, but once I started putting it on and it all came together, I think it's just gorgeous. Now, of course, this isn't anything unique, this Quint, but I'm still pleased that I picked it up because I think it's absolutely beautiful. And with that middle beige shade and also with the pink, at first you might not think there's much payoff, but you actually can build it up as I did through there, and all the shades together I think are just absolutely beautiful. Now, I used a Dior eyeliner, and I do have the newly released Dior mascara as well, but today I used my favorite, the Queen Mousse, because I've tried this a few times now. I didn't want to use it today. I will use it a few more times before I give my absolute final verdict on this. But I find for me that this mascara, it just clumps, whereas the Queen Mousse one, it gives that volume, length, and I never get any clumping with it at all. And there's just some reason that I just don't have much luck with Dior mascaras. But I am going to, I didn't want to use it in today's video because I didn't want my eyelashes to go clumpy, but I will give it 2 or 3 more goes just before I give my absolute final verdict on it. And for my blush today, I'm going to use one of the newly released. This is the Dior Backstage, the Rosy Glow blush, and this is the shade in Toffee. I think this is just absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to grab my Sonia G brush and just sweep it over the top of the blush and put it on that way. I think the shade is gorgeous. And then I'm going to use the Dior Forever, the Glow Maximizer. This is the one in Nude. I absolutely love these. I've got this in a lot of shades. And I just want to add just a little bit more highlight on my cheekbones. This is also one that I use just by itself as well, but it also works perfectly just to give a little bit of extra highlight. So for my lipstick today, I'm going to use one that's already in my collection, and this is the Velvet Formula, and this is the shade in New Look. This is a really beautiful neutral lipstick, and the shade is in the Miss Dior collection as well. Of course, it has different embossing than this one has got, but I thought I'd put it on just in case you were looking to get this shade. So that is what the shade looks like, and I'm also going to put on one of the lip maximizers over the top. This is just a very light pink, and I often do this over the top of velvet lipsticks, and this shade just gives the whole lip just a little bit of a lift. So here is the finished look, and altogether I think this is really pretty. The Hydra Nude foundation is looking beautiful, and of course that powder over the top is just absolutely stunning. So with this new collection, as I was saying at the more towards the beginning of the video, I think this is a collection that people either love the look of or they hate. It depends whether you like the look of the design on these pouches or not. Now this colour story of this Quint, I think, is gorgeous. I love a neutral eyeshadow palette, just love it. And these are the type of shades that I go for with my everyday makeup. Now, you've probably got these colors or similar to it in your collection, so it may be something that you don't want to pick up because you think you can create the same look with something that you already have. Or if you're like me and absolutely love a neutral eyeshadow palette and you just want all the shades of a really great look just in one palette, then I think you would really love this. I love the different finishes in this, and it performed a lot better on the eye than I thought it was going to from the swatches. Now, I used all 5 shades. You don't have to. This brown just together with the shade here would be really beautiful. You could have this darker in the outer corner, put a little bit over the eye and up through the crease here, and this topper shade over the top, and I think that would look really beautiful as well. Or you could just stick with these 2 shades here. These are more lighter, but they are definitely buildable, and that would create a really beautiful, just barely there eye look as well. Now this shade here, this gold, this is the only warm shade in here, and it is really lovely. I didn't want to put that over the eyelid as well with the other shades. I thought it would be a little bit too much, but I really like it through here. I think it looks really pretty on the lower lash line, just through here. It just gives the eye look just that something extra, and altogether I just think this is really, really pretty. So I am pleased that I picked this up. Now with the other Quint that I'm going to do in another video, that's the one in Shocking Pink, and it's got that bright pink in the middle. But really what I picked that Quint up for is because of the other 4 shades in that Quint. So it's going to be interesting to see what that one is like once I try it out. But I'm really pleased with this one. As I said, it just looks so much better on the eye than I thought it was going to from the swatches. So let me know in the comments below if you are picking anything up from this collection, or you're holding out for the powder that I used and those liquid blushes that should be available fairly soon as well. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.